Today we will be wrapping up Chapter 2 and planning for our quiz. Your quiz is available under Quizzes on your nav bar. Select quiz number 1 of Chapter 1 and Chapters 2. You get one opportunity to take this quiz, so do your best. It is an open note, open book quiz for you, so you should do very well. Make sure you take the time, though, to be successful at your quiz. As we look at the wrap-up of Chapter 2, we're going to talk a lot about believing in yourself and the impact and the power of believing in yourself. The quote for today is, "Every man's life ends the same way. It is only the details of how he lived and how he died that distinguish one man from another." Think about that for yourself and how you can separate yourself from the common man and do uncommon things and make the most of your life. The details in between are what are going to define you and what are going to leave your legacy here on earth. 7 Secrets to Success of Steve Jobs. Great video. Obviously, we know that Steve Jobs was extremely successful in the business world, and these are some of the key elements of his success. So great video to tune into. We're going to talk about self-esteem here. So scenario 1, Josh is receiving, and I teach a class for our student athletes, so you'll see some of my things are geared towards student athletes. So let's not look at scenario 1, let's look at scenario 2. After taking her midterm, Becky realizes she's not doing well in her English class. Which reaction demonstrates a positive self-esteem? Number 1, A, Becky quits attending class. Why waste time if I'm going to fail? B, Becky sets up a time to meet with her professor to discuss possible extra work. C, Becky complains to her roommates about how pathetic her instructor is. And then D, Becky withdraws from her English class. Obviously, the best response is B. She sits down, takes time to meet with her instructor. And this is such an important piece. If you're struggling in class, don't hesitate to reach out to your instructors. Your instructors want you to be successful, and showing that initiative and that you care is sometimes kind of the make or break for your overall success if you're right there, whether you're on a pass or fail basis. All right, as we look at believing in ourselves and we look at the self-esteem piece, we have these different things. We have the activating event. So when we talked about the 90-10 rule, the activating event is that 10%. We have no control over the activating event. Now, we do have control over how we believe or we perceive it. So the activating event plus our belief is going to equate out to our consequences or how we respond. And you'll see this psychologist Albert Ellis suggested that different responses by individuals to the same activating event occur because of what students believe, their perception of it. And I always say your perception is your reality. How you see things is what you're going to believe. My perception is my reality. So maybe if we can change our belief, we can change the end result and make it more positive. For example, Josh complains to his roommate that his coach doesn't like him. And the same activating event is that Josh is receiving limited playing time. He complains to his roommate that his coach doesn't like him. So essentially, he believes that his coach doesn't like him. The consequence is that he's depressed and he feels sorry for himself. So that's not a great result. By changing his belief system, though, he can change the way or the consequence to the event. So a great example then would be Josh is receiving limited playing time. Josh sets up a meeting with his coach to discuss what he can do to better his opportunities for playing time. His belief is that he's not sure what the problem is or what he needs to do, so he will look into it versus forming an opinion that may or may not be true. The consequences is Josh works on key areas of improvement with his coach. He also understands his role and embraces that being in athletics has far more reward than just being a starter. So he has a different perspective. His different belief leads to a much better consequence for him. How do you dispute these irrational inner critic or inner defendant thoughts, these things that cause poor beliefs which lead to poor outcomes or consequences? Here are 4 effective ways to dispute your irrational and self-sabotaging beliefs. So the next time you're starting to feel sorry for yourself, or you have these things come up, these challenging events in your life, here's what you can do. Number 1, offer evidence that your judgments are incorrect. Okay. Number 2, offer a positive explanation for the problem. Okay, don't focus on the negative. Put a positive spin on things. Number 3, question the importance of the problem. And sometimes we focus on things that have very little meaning or very little importance, maybe just to complain or feel sorry for ourselves. So really, is this thing important? And then number 4, if you find that your judgments are true, instead of continuing to criticize yourself or someone else, come up with a plan to improve the situation. I always talk about a book called The No Complaining Rule. You can't come to me with a complaint unless you come to me with also some solutions or some conversation that will result into some solutions or options to solve the problem. You must change a thought to, or a must thought to a preferred thought. So I must get playing time, or I'm a terrible athlete and my coach knows nothing, to I prefer to have playing time, but not doing so doesn't mean that my role in the program isn't as important. It changes your perspective, changes your feelings towards yourself. I always say, don't complain, blame, or excuse for yourself. All right, this little survey here is going to help you see where your strengths and weaknesses are in relevance to motivation and change. So take a little bit of time to work through this and then see where your weaknesses are and try to develop those weaknesses. You'll notice here there is a nice little quiz or kind of questions to work through. And then as you click through, you can get the answers to those questions. I strongly encourage you to work through these. You will see some of these similar questions on your upcoming quiz. Please let me know if you have any questions over the wrap-up of Chapter 2, and best of luck this week on your quiz. Again, your quiz is located in the nav bar under Quizzes, and then Chapter 1 and 2. Good luck and have a great week.